Already started it.
Reel up.
Yep. Bring up your phone. We'll get fired up here. I'm gonna close this window. Because I think it got cool in there. I think it's because the sun ain't beating in the back window anymore.
Yeah, I think that's helping for sure.
I can wipe off my headphones and my titties. They're getting pretty gangly from the last one. Just have Patreon. So let's go over here. We're gonna go home. We can fire up in a minute. Just want to
Source material.
should be live. There we go. We're live.
Or you're gonna monitor questions.
I'm gonna try to if this internet decides to work with me here.
I'll try to bounce back and forth.
All right.
I'll get that up and then
Yeah,
pull up my other material.
I will most certainly try. All right. Ready?
Yep.
Start the new. Ready, brother?
Yes, sir.
Uncle George, you ready? Fucker. All right. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello and welcome to the Freemasons podcast. We are live. We're doing another live one. Tonight's episode is going to be sacred numbers, ratios, and sacred geometry. First thing I want to do is I want to introduce myself. I am the host, right worship Brother George Mudry, and with me,
Worshipful Brother Joe.
and Papa George is gagged. He made a little video when we were trying to set up.
Kept interrupting us, so we had to put a gag on him.
Yeah, we had to take care of him. But first thing I want to do is I'm going to I want to plug our sponsorship, www.thefreemasonspodcast.com. I'm going to be making shirts. I was supposed to make the 4th of July one, not for nothing. I slacked.
It happens.
But I do have your image for your Joe Norma shirt.
Nice.
I haven't posted it yet. I haven't put it up. I promise you I will. I will do it as soon as I get a chance.
Discord, there were a couple little mixed reactions. Some guys were like, nah, I'm not wearing that. And then there were some like, I need one of those. So.
Let us know what you think. If you want me to make a Joe Norma shirt, or you will buy it, I most certainly will. I know you're buying one, but I'll definitely put it up there. We're going to do that. And the other thing I want to do is we're going to take a pirate photo later. We didn't end up going to Charles Island. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, it was a great idea initially, and then we started doing some more research on it and found that it's actually a protected site. And if we go out there, not only could we get arrested or seriously injured,
Very much so.
but if we got stuck out there and the Coast Guard had to come get us, we would be responsible for repaying any cost associated with our
the Coast Guard had to come get us.
so we've got some Patreon supporters, not enough to cover the cost of that. So we're like, all right, well, let's do something a little different and let's figure it out.
So there was a couple ideas that were passed around, and we were going to do a picture up here. There was even talks of doing it in Rafferty's pool, which I thought would be funny as hell. There was even, we're thinking about snapping a photo and maybe superimposing it with a tropical background, but we'll be doing something. We just have to be careful. The other problem is, the other guys chicken shitted out on us too.
Right. We won't mention them.
Yeah, we won't mention it by name, Jack or Dan or.
Where's Ken? Ken's been quiet.
I don't know what happened to Ken.
Ken, if you're not okay, blink twice. Blink twice. We'll come get you, brother. We got you. No, it would be cool though if we painted this wall green or hung a green screen.
No.
Back here.
No, better one. We get the wallpaper from Scarface. Remember Frank? Frank
Oh,
Lopez's office?
yes. We could do that too. We could do a lot of things. With green screen, you can put anything back there, including.
I
the
never
wallpaper.
turned on you, Frank.
Put the wallpaper from Scarface. You can put the tropical island. You can put all kinds of stuff back there.
All right, so all right, let's get into shout-outs. Let's give a couple shout-outs. Jim Trensky, Colton Kemp, Robert Scott, Joseph Bonacek, I may butcher that, Glenn Willits, Peter James Zimprich, and well, I'll get into the next one in a minute. So I want to give them toasts for liking the podcast. So, Brother Joe, why don't you lead it off?
Right hand to arms.
Arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. Together?
Viva! 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 Alright. We also have 2 more toasts to do. And I'm going to try to plug them up on my computer here, which is temperamental at best, but we will most certainly try. I'm going to bring them up. They are recommendations for the Freemasons podcast. So that's what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Charging my cable first. Joe, you need to charge, you good?
No, my Canon is charged and alive.
Right. Let's go here. Reviews on Facebook. We have, as soon as my internet decides to start working, I apologize for the delay in here. But we have Joseph Bonacek is the first one. I'm going to call him out. As soon as I can scroll to it, there's a thousand of them in here. Come on now. This thing is plaguing me here. All right. Joseph Bonacek, whatever. I apologize. I'm terrible at this.
We've established you're
We've
terrible.
established I'm
so
terrible
don't
at
take
this.
it personally.
I butchered actually Giovanni Ribeye is how you pronounce it, not Ribeye.
Oh.
So I butchered that one too. So I don't apologize for that. Anyway,
We know
Joseph.
how good you are with French.
Don't start. Joseph writes, This is Freemasonry. Enjoy the company of like and different-minded people. Bust their balls and shake their hands, all while knowing that the brothers will be there for you and you for them. This is as close to brotherhood I had when I was in the service. The real secret of Freemasonry, don't tell anyone, is how to get a bunch of random guys together who might otherwise never get along, and have them accept each other as equal human beings, as well as be able to carry on a thoughtful and provoking conversation about anything, and figuring out how to better themselves, their brothers, their community, and hopefully the world at large. Freemasonry is about making good men better. I wrote, thank you. Awesome review. I thought that was absolutely incredible.
And he's pretty right as far as getting random guys together, because prior to this podcast, the only person that's come on here that I knew prior to starting you guys in episode 15 was you.
Mm-hmm.
I've met at least a dozen other brothers through this podcast, and it's like I've known him forever.
So let's toast him to Joseph Bonacek. I believe he's a brother, but he didn't write that. But I did have a conversation with him. I'll get to that later after we do, because I don't have my phone. It's obviously being used. So, right into arms.
To arms!
Ready.
Ready!
Aim.
Aim!
Fire. Good fire. Fire all. Together, brothers. Viva! 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 All right. Joe, you can do the next one.
You got it.
We have another one. Spencer Miller recommends the Freemasons podcast. And he writes, plain and simple, you guys rock. Way too much fun for a podcast. Very short and sweet and absolutely perfect. And again, as always, anytime somebody writes a review, I say thank you. You can reach out to me whenever you want.
Yeah, thank you.
So I'd like to do toast. Lead.
Right hand to arms.
Arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. Together, brother.
Viva! 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 Alright, perfect. We actually had another review that was on Apple iTunes. I do not have Apple iTunes with me, but it's a 3-star review, and I'll give credit where it's due. I'm not that guy. He did write a 3-star review, and he also left a comment.
Well, that's fair.
For something
that's
to
fair.
And that's absolutely fair. No, I'm completely fine with that. And he basically said that awesome podcast, 5-star review. If it would be a 5-star review, if we need to work on our sound quality. And I don't know if you noticed, Joe, you now have a windscreen or
Yep.
a thing on your mic. So and I turned down the audio a little bit. So hopefully the popping won't be as bad. He said there's a lot of popping and it hurts, it's hard on the ears. And part of the problem was that I tried to have the audio as loud as possible, and the reason being is because I drive trucks for a living, and I drive a big diesel truck. So if I'm listening to the podcast,
You've got to have it pretty
I
loud.
can
Right,
hear
right.
it. So I've always tried to gauge it off of that. But if others are complaining, you left a 3-star review, but you know what? I'm fine with that.
Hey.
As long as you left a review.
Right.
It didn't just rate it and run.
Because now we can work
So,
on that.
now
And
I
if
can
you're-
work on that.
If you continue to listen, please check in with us. Let
So-
us know if it's gotten better.
If you're still listening to it, messages received. I am working on it. I've turned volumes down. I'm not a disc jockey or soundboard guy. I've basically had to learn on the fly. I've said it before, so I'm working on it. So I hope it works out. I hope it sounds better. And again, if you're on Facebook, get onto the Freemasons Podcast Facebook page, or the join the community page, and just say, hey, much better, or keep working on
Yeah,
it.
we're open.
We're open. You want to lead this one?
Sure.
We'll toast it.
Right hand to arms.
Arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire good fire, fire all. Together, brother. Viva, viva, viva.
All right. Let's get over here. And I want to also plug our community page. Okay, I'm going to add some questions if you want to join into it. And we cover a lot of things on our community page. It's slowed down a little bit, but all the ball busting kind of came to an end.
Yes.
We pretty much effectively went to a kumbaya thing. But then again, the U.S. women just beat the Netherlands in the World Cup.
I wonder how Gideon feels about that. I wonder how he feels about that.
So I have a pretty bad feeling that
In the World Cup of soccer.
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 Yes.
Not football.
Not football. Oh, now you're just going and pissing everybody off overseas now, because they all call it football.
Hey, we just celebrated 4th of July. We won. We get to call it when we get to call it. Sorry, guys.
Oh.
Just saying.
Touche. I'm actually wearing my Defiant 1776 shirt today.
Oh, we made Nathan Moss angry already.
And this is from Zulu Foxtrot, the company that makes shirts. They make a lot of military shirts, a military-owned company. It's not military-owned company, excuse me, military veteran-owned company. And they make shirts. And actually, the inside of the tag is great because it says, "Washing terrorist tears." But check their shirts out. They got some good stuff up there, especially if you're patriotic or you're prior military. They hire only veterans.
Cool.
So hop on there and check them out. I like giving plugs to other people too, especially when it's military veterans. Freemasons YouTube channel. Subscribe to us. Please subscribe to us. We are going to be putting up more and more videos, especially of the Gads Puppet George, prior to being Gads. I'll put that right. He had it coming though.
He did have it. He got
it
a little unruly.
He did. Toward the end there, he got pretty bad.
And he's
so.
dressed as a pirate right now, kind of. I'm thinking he's a little angry.
Yeah. So.
Anyway.
Patreon. Sign up for Patreon. We have different tiers: 3, 5, 7, and 9. You can catch our extra stuff. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna hold this book. We just finished George Washington's Rules of Civility and Decent Behavior in Company and Conversation. We just finished this. And for those who are big into esoteric stuff, we're going to be doing the Kybalion next, which has to do with the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus. And Joe, you just bought the book.
Just came yesterday.
And
I'm really looking forward to reading it. And it's not a huge read. It's not a huge book, but no, I'm really, really looking forward to that. So.
And who is the authors?
3 initiates.
That
which
runs,
is intriguing in and of itself.
and also runs right into our sacred numbers, ratios, and geometry episode. Like how I did that? See?
I like how you did that.
See?
See?
4 steps ahead. All right. Not really. Usually slow, but
You can't count. It's more like 1 or 2.
you are right. All right. Time to get into Franklin's 13 virtues. What was our last card? Chastity. right?
Yeah, that was the one.
How'd you do? Did you keep your pickle out of the pickle jar?
Let's move on. Let's just move on.
All right.
No further comment.
So,
I'm not even gonna ask you how you did.
Nathan Moss. Normally I don't. I've been kind of gotten my hand slapped for this, but he's asking the question. We are drinking Evan Williams 1783 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and I'm also drinking a Bud Light. This
Right
is
now
actually.
I'm going Bud Light.
Yeah, we've toned it down. We're not we do again. I just want to point out that our actually Joe, can you hold up your shot glass?
Yes, I
We
can.
do our toast. That's about as much as we do, and that's actually beer. So
Right, this is actually beer, which is, it's Bud Light.
if we
which isn't
filled
really even beer.
these cans to the top, it would not be a very long
We
podcast.
would not have an hour podcast.
We would not have an hour podcast. So, hey, what's up, Nicholas McGowan?
Hey, what's going on, Nick?
What's going on? Glad to have you guys all with us. So, chastity. We'll leave it alone.
Put that
We'll
one
just-
aside,
We'll put it
and
aside.
we'll pick another one.
Joe, pick us the next card. What do we got?
Ooh, tranquility.
Ooh, tranquility. Which is perfect because we've had some really good beach days lately.
We have, finally, it's finally summer here in New
Oh,
England.
definitely. That's right. Because let's see here. I'm gonna put it right in front of the book down here. Which is funny because New England has got some funny weather. We went straight from winter into summer.
Yeah, right, well, we had like a month of Seattle weather,
We
like
did have-
Pacific Northwest weather. We had rain for like a month and a half straight. That was pretty much May and June, and then July hits, and then it's 90s, cranking the AC.
Right.
Which, if I remember correctly, shout out to our friends and brothers down in Australia, Michael Alchin, Lynx Riser,
Mhm.
and we have another friend or brother down there. But I believe in the southern hemisphere it's winter right now.
Really?
We have summer. I believe they have winter. I'm sure that if I'm wrong, I'm sure I'm going to hear about it immediately. But I'm fairly certain that that's how it works. Somebody help me out here.
I don't know. See, right now I think it's 6:40, so it's probably in Australia it's 6:40 in the morning right now for them because they're exactly, I think, what 24 hours.
Oh, I thought it. I don't know. I know you pass the international date line when you fly out, but I don't know.
They're already into Monday, so either Lynx or Michael Alchin's probably just about waking up right now. But
And if I'm wrong, by all means, blast me on the news.
yeah, I hope they do.
I just hope I'm right.
Tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles or at accidents common or unavoidable. I think that's a good one.
That is a really good one.
Don't be pissed off at dumb shit. I
Okay,
guess.
don't sweat the small stuff.
Or
Probably the
accidents.
best way to put it.
Or at accidents common and avoidable. In other words, don't flip out if you knock your cup off the table.
Right.
Or things that really you can't really avoid. You know, if you get a thunderstorm and it knocks a tree down in your backyard and
It's out of your hands. It's out of your
it's out of your
hands.
hands, yeah.
Fix it, but don't worry about it. It happened. Move on.
Let's go here. Don't be upset by the unexpected events that life throws you. They're going to happen. Being upset does not help resolve them. If you recognize your emotions swell, consciously keep them in check. Learn how to recognize your own emotions inside and understand them without reacting to them or acting upon them. Use them as information instead. In order to make better decisions.
I like that one. I really,
I
really like
that one too, and I have a bad feeling it's gonna be tough for me because I drive 95 almost every day.
See, I think that's going to be easy for me because I'm generally speaking, there are things that get under my skin, but generally speaking, I'm just the relaxed, chill guy. You know, take it as it comes, figure it out if there's a problem. I tend to not stress out about little things. So we'll see. We'll see. I think I'll be good with that. I'm going to do a hell of a lot better with that one than prior.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right, let's get into it. Our topic for the evening. We're going to move into sacred numbers, ratios, and geometry. And I'll start off the conversation, I guess.
Yeah.
So we all know that Freemasonry, in its ritual, has numbers. They are the numbers 3, 5, 7. There's a lot of numbers that pertain to Freemasonry. The big one is number 3. You have the 3 degrees of Freemasonry, 3 principal officers. You have the 3 great lights. It's a repeating number, but that number also ties into many other different things as well. Again, if you look at Christianity, you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. If you look into the cycle of life, you have birth, life, and death. So the number 3 is very repeating. One of my other favorite numbers, and it's actually a number I see, but there's a couple. Number 3 I see repeatedly, but it always comes in 3. So I'll see the number 3, 3, 3 quite frequently.
That's something that I've seen since I was a kid. Like I've
3,
always
3,
been attracted to the number 3 itself, but it always stuck out when I looked at the clock and it was 3:33.
Mm-hmm.
And part of me being a headbanger, heavy metal guy back in the day, I'm like, oh my God, is that a warning sign that I'm halfway to hell? Like, is God telling me that I'm halfway there because of the whole 666 number of the beast thing? Like, I better start straightening up because I'm halfway there.
I've seen the number 333, and it's come quite frequently. It kind of died down a little, but there was literally, I've seen it literally 3 times per day.
Yeah.
333, 3 times per day. I remember one day it was insane. I actually, as I'm driving down 95, the gas prices were $3.33. I went to McDonald's that particular day. I get my receipt and I'm order number 333. I went to punch out one day, swiped my card to look at the time clock, and it was 333. The numbers 3 are, and I'm just kind of doing that as a little sidebar. The number 3 is very symbolical of different things. The cycle of life, the Holy Trinity, 3 points of a triangle. And the triangle, we all know, is the strongest shape in nature.
Yes.
So it's quite. If you go to the bakery and you ask for a baker's dozen, what do you get?
Is it 13?
Is that a
Baker's dozen is 13.
No.
Regular dozen.
I'm sorry, a half a dozen
Oh, it's 6.
is
right.
6. But if you wanted 10 donuts, nobody would know how to order 10 donuts. You know what
No.
10 donuts are? A deca. So a dozen is 6 times 6.
Right.
Or 6 plus 6. If you look at the angles, if you look at a perfect circle, how many degrees are it?
36.
Which is 6 times
6.
6 times 60.
Sorry, I paused it.
That's all right. See, you said I was bad at math. And all the angles, 90 degrees, 6s. Everything's based on 6s, and that's from Sumerian. And again, if you look at another crazy thing in the Bible is look how many times the number 33 repeats.
Right.
Jesus was supposedly 33 when he died. What's the other number I'm thinking of?
Well, I just know in relation to Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite 30-30.
33. Actually, another crazy thing about the number 33. The cradle of civilization is on the 33rd parallel. If you want to get really crazy,
That I did not.
the face on Mars is on the 33rd parallel of Mars in the area known as Cydonia, which is kind of funny, which is actually Cydonia was Mesopotamia before it was called Mesopotamia. But all that is relative, quite incredible, and it just gives an example of why you should look at your ritual and go deeper into it, because these
Right.
things mean something. Look into the deeper meaning. Look into the hidden things of, what our ritual stands for. There's so many different correlations to it. Again, now let's move to the number 5. What do you got, Joe? Got anything for the number 5?
Well, number 5, it's you've got the 5 human senses, of which 3 are most revered by Masons.
There's number 3.
But you have the 5. You have the 5 different pillars, different styles of architecture.
Correct.
That was done. And 5. I don't want to say it's a stepping stone for other numbers, but it's almost, it brings together a union of other numbers. It's like a bridge. And a lot of people take that number to think of it as represents unity. Because it's bringing things together. Sorry, that's your fault.
Yeah, so we're playing footsie tonight too. Good thing it's not on the feed. Good thing it's not live.
You know, among the Greeks, it was actually number 5 was considered a symbol of the world. And it's represented the 4 elements coming together as one, the 4 and the 1, thus making 5 the representative of not only the 4 separate elements, but the one collective object of those 4 things being brought together.
Let's see here.
And then you can know with not only that, but you get into the 5-pointed star, the pentagram, the pentagon. You know, you can get into the sacred geometry aspect of all of that.
That's where I'm heading with it. Different frequencies, actually. I don't know if you know anything about sacred geometry. If you take a water droplet and you put different frequencies to it, you will actually get the golden ratio pop up on different ones. And actually at certain frequencies, there's actually a very interesting video on YouTube that they show a water droplet and they're pumping, they keep raising the frequency, the hertz of it. And as it keeps going, it creates different shape inside of a water droplet.
Right.
And it's quite incredible. And that's also on top of that sacred geometry right there.
Well, that whole golden ratio thing is a whole other, like we could dedicate an entire episode.
Oh yeah,
to just the
absolutely.
golden ratio.
Let's see here.
But if are you still on 5, or do you mind if I jump ahead?
No, go ahead.
I want to jump ahead to the number 9, because I've had a fascination with the number 9 for probably close to 2 years now. Because, like you, I kept seeing the 3 and the 333 coming up, and I always thought it was a 3. And then a few other things happened in my life where other derivatives would come up where it was a 2 and a 7. Or it would appear in different ways where it was a 9. And I'm like, well, maybe it wasn't 3 all along, maybe it was a 9. And the 9 is considered the most perfect number because it's the 3 times.
Right.
And you start really delving into the number 9. You had mentioned before about 6s and how important that was when you're talking a 360-degree angle. But the other piece, and I saw a video on this, it's on YouTube, I forget the exact site, if I can find it or remember it, I'll give them credit for it, but it's out there. But it shows how whenever you bisect a circle, you're always going to cut it down, and degrees will always add up to 9. So you have 360, 3 plus 6 plus 0 adds to 9. Cut that in half, 180, 1 plus 8 plus 0, 9. Cut that in half, got 90. Right, we can do that math. Cut that in half, it's 45 degrees. 4 plus 5, 9. Cut that in half, it's 22 and a half. 2 plus 2 plus 5, we go 22.5. 2 plus 2 plus 5 adds up to 9. And it keeps going no matter how small you make that angle. And then they started doing, within that circle, if you were to make, hexagons and pentagons, and I don't know the names of the ones that have many more angles and surfaces than that, but if you measured the angle of each of those, like the same thing happens. It also adds up to 9. So there's 9 in one way, it represents everything and nothing at the same time.
Right.
And if you take all the single numbers in our number system and add them all up, excluding the 9, they add up. They will all add up to 9. So it's a really powerful video that really puts things into perspective. I've mentioned this on prior podcasts because of my fascination with the number 9. A tarot card that had come up for me a bunch of times was the Hermit Tarot card, which is the number 9 card of the major arcana. And issue happened, my brother had a serious medical issue. Happened on July 2nd. He was on the 7th floor, quadrant 2 of the Haven Hospital. And that's when I really started doing research into the number 9. It took me to a whole different level. And then I started realizing, wait a minute, I'm born on October 9th, 1972, 7 plus 2.
Right.
And then you just start seeing it. Once you start to open yourself up to it, things like that will just recur constantly.
There's other, something that happened with me, I'll give a similar story with the number 3 is, 2 times that the number 3, well, 3 times that the number 3 popped up for me, realistically, in just my everyday life is, my son was born on the 3rd of August. I was born on the 9th of August. So right there you have, I was the 9th, there's 333.
Right.
And then on top of that, you also had my son born on the 3rd. I graduated from boot camp November 3rd.
Yeah.
And then you got 11, you can take 11 times 3, and there's 333 right there staring in the face. So this number has, I don't want to say plagued me, but it's been very prevalent in my life.
So I mentioned before to you when we were off air about the monk retreat that I'm going on in August. And it was originally set for August 3rd. And then there was an issue where they said, sorry, we can't accommodate you
And it got bumped.
on August 3rd, and it got bumped on
Right.
August 9th. And that scheduling, that whole thing was part of this whole awakening around the number 9. So it was just kind of weird how that worked out.
So I have something on my computer here where I found this interesting. I found this actually a couple days ago. And it talks about the golden ratio calculator. The golden ratio, for those who don't know, is the golden ratio is the 2 different proportions that add to the whole. In this particular golden ratio, the golden ratio is 1.618. This one particular calculator that I had was the golden ratio calculator, and it's powered by Omni Calculator. The shorter section, if you do it at 2 meters, the longer section will be 3.236, whatever. We'll get rid of the decimals, but we'll just say the shorter section is 2 meters. The longer section will be 3 meters, which would get to the whole of 5, but if you add all those numbers, it makes 357.
Wow.
I thought that was quite
That is
interesting.
quite interesting. But it's funny when you talk about the golden ratio, just the way that your body is designed fits the golden ratio. People might remember, from that movie back in my day, Pretty Woman, where Julia Roberts mentioned, oh, your foot's the same size as the distance from your elbow to your wrist. Well, that's actually accurate. And if you were to spread your arm out and measure
what?
the
Say
distance,
this again?
your foot, hold it up to
I'm
your
not going to hold it up to that.
your foot.
We're live. I look like a freaking.
Your
You're
foot.
just trying to make an ass out
No,
of me.
I'm not. Your foot is the same size
Uh-huh.
as the distance from your elbow to your wrist. Guaranteed. Every time.
Wow.
And it's that no matter what size person you are or whether you have a size.
I'm about 200 pounds and I'm not flexible. You really think I can stick my
You
foot
could
on my.
do that. You could do
Think
that.
so?
But even the length of your finger.
I am not about to bring all this equipment in order.
Well, I'm not doing it because we're live, but it works.
And you're not wearing underwear. So.
Well, that's a whole different thing. And these shorts are really thin.
Oh,
I've been told I shouldn't wear these shorts in public, but my goodness.
So let's go over some things that you find the golden ratio in. Actually, many churches of medieval times were actually not churches, cathedrals and
yeah.
abbeys.
Yep.
That you find in England were built to the golden ratio.
And even buildings like the Parthenon,
the Parthenon.
built to the golden ratio. The pyramids,
The pyramids.
King's Chamber, built to the golden ratio.
Right.
It's even the curves of your ionic column are designed using the golden ratio.
Right.
The scrolls there. There's so many things that are built with this, and you had your masters, your Da Vinci's, your great artists of all time knew about this ratio,
Right.
and incorporated it into every design they ever made.
One thing I ever found interesting is I wish I knew how they did it, was the building of the pyramids of Giza. They are actually built to the exact proportions and dimensions of Earth. What is it, the diameter? It's the diameter, right?
Yes.
Of Earth. How the hell did they know?
How did they know that if they had no knowledge?
Incredible.
And they also line up with Orion's belt pretty precisely. How would they possibly have the term to do that?
Well, little sidebar. Tyler Williams. I just got voted into my lodge a couple weeks ago. Initiation coming in a few weeks. I'm pumped. Hey, congratulations.
Hey, congratulations. Great
Awesome,
job.
Tyler. Glad to hear. Send me your photos. I want to see them. Send me the photo. Not during your degree, obviously. You'll probably get yanked up by your cable tow. But send me the photo afterward. I want to see you in your lodge. I'll post it on the podcast. Golden ratio. All right. So
Yeah, the other cool thing about it is it's not just in architecture that it shows up, and this is the architecture piece is intriguing to me, but it's how it shows up in nature. A lot of your shellfish, your the nautilus shell, is in essence the golden ratio. It's that shape. That's what you're talking about. Or, I'm sorry, the golden spiral using that golden ratio. It's just how it spreads out and builds on itself is according to that golden ratio.
Even bringing into the Fibonacci numbers, Fibonacci sequence, which is another thing that's been used. And that's part of the same thing, that the spiral going out, which is found in nature and everywhere else. And actually, one of the cool things I seen when I was looking at that golden ratio, it's actually in color. It was a picture I found. It reminds me of a conch shell?
Mhm.
Conch shell?
Yep, probably very similar to the nautilus shell.
Exactly.
Yep.
Oh, that's the same thing?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's, and these numbers are repeating over and over again. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've always had a fascination, even when I've read the Bible and stuff, of numbers that constantly repeat. For instance, another number that I found is quite interesting is number 40.
40?
40.
Okay.
So Jesus was tempted in the desert for 40 days and
Yes.
40 minutes.
Yep.
I have done a lot of interest. I've had a lot of interest in, again, I've said it, Sumerian type of the Sumerian tablets and all that stuff, and they actually talks about how the Sumerians ranked their people. They ranked their people, the Anunnaki, who supposedly were part of the cuneiform tablets and everything. We talk about there, the Anunnaki, for those who don't know, is those who heaven came to earth. Anu, heaven, he, earth. Those who from heaven came to earth. And it talks about how that the chief god Anu was ranked 60, which is interesting because there's your number 6 again.
Right.
I mean, even if you, and again, we'll go into we still use the Babylonian counting. For instance, if you look at your watch, how many minutes in how many seconds in a minute?
60.
How many minutes in an hour?
60.
I mean, we still use it to this
And
day.
then even your 12 hours.
Even your 12 hours is half of
is
6.
6. And if you go 24 hours in a day, the 2 and the 4,
There you go.
it's another derivative of 6.
Yeah, so back on the thing, they ranked the Anunnaki were said to have had their reverent ranks starting with Anu 60. And Lil, who was the second chief god, and Lil means Lord of the Command, he was given the rank of 50. And Enki, who is one of the Sumerian gods, who is actually attributed for the creation of man in Sumerian, he was given the rank 40. So there's another number that pops up.
The 40 definitely pops up quite a bit.
It pops up quite a bit, and I'm a firm believer that all of these numbers and these constant repetitive things are they give you
It's a formula.
It's a formula.
It's a guide. It's a map. That's what the secret knowledge is.
right. It's secret knowledge, and I think it's even in the Bible where it says I'm not going to show you the King of Heaven. You need to find it for yourself.
Right.
In so many
Right.
words. It's same with our ritual. Quite simple. Bringing us back into Freemasonry, like, don't just look at Freemasonry and our ritual as, this is just something I learned from the next degree.
Right, it's not something where you just
There's
memorize the
more
words, you have to
to it.
learn them.
Especially in the second and third lectures
Yes.
of any degree.
They don't often get written.
They don't
or,
often get written.
read.
Written or read.
Written
yes.
or read. They don't often get read during the degree.
And honestly, it's look into. I mean, there's so much allegory in all of it.
Mhm.
You know, you have the 3 ruffians. You have the 3. The 12 fellowcrafts. 12 is another big number that
Yeah.
gets used. On top of that, you have, again, I've said it before, 3 principal officers, 3 degrees.
Yeah, and it's, and then when you get into the other numbers, there's definitely more there. And just real quick to hop back just on the golden ratio for a moment. In the Bible, you mentioned that's right in the Bible for you. When the instructions were given on how to not only build the Ark of the Covenant, but Noah's Ark, specifically the instructions that were given, you're going to build it by, Q cubits, by this half cubit or whatever the measurements are. That's the golden ratio. That's the divine ratio. Right in those plans. Imagine like you're opening up something from IKEA. And you're trying to put it together and you're giving the instructions and it's like, here. But that's in essence what they were given, that those instructions to build something so divine was according to the golden ratio.
Trying to think back here. I've even done the math on the different working tools of each degree. So, it's not. It doesn't really add up. I thought it did. 2, 3, and 1. What number is that? 7.
That's 2, 3, and 1 gives you 6.
6. 6. I don't know why I was thinking.
But you have the 24-inch gauge, which is divided into 3 equal parts.
24 being half of 12, 12 being cut down, still brings you to 3s.
Right.
Or 6s, if you want to get crazy. And, a lot of this, and again, I want to just understand that, none of, we're just talking. None of this is,
Prescribed.
None of this is like driven.
This is our interpretation.
These are our
connections that we're making.
Interesting things that I find are, they're curious. They really make you wonder, like,
Right.
Here's number 3. I mean, you have 7 principal officers lodge?
You have 3 principal, but you have 7 total.
7 total.
Counting the.
You can't open a lodge 100 apprentices level 7.
Right.
You can't open a lodge fellowcraft level 5. You can't open a master mason level 3. Like, so all these, just the numbers are constantly repeating, and you should definitely look at you should look deeper into ritual and religion, because many of the numbers, in my opinion, lead to something more than what you're reading at face value.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's definitely more there. That's why, we go back and my favorite degree of all is the fellowcraft degree, because that's when I started figuring that stuff out. That's when I was when I was actually doing the middle chamber, like presenting the fellowcraft degree. That's when I was like, oh wow, this is what that means. And this is what I'm doing. Okay, and wow, so this is connecting to this, and I don't want to get into the whole ritual and middle chamber piece of it, but having to learn that to present that to someone else really helped me make that connection for me in my Masonic career, and that's when things just started to open up like a floodgate for me. So, for those brothers that are new into Freemasonry and they're worried about memorizing it, get through the memorization piece. It's important, but don't check it off as something you never have to go back to. There's so much in the 3 degrees of Blue Lodge that you can constantly go back and read through. And a good book recommendation that I'll throw out there again, it's a short read available on Amazon. It's called Observing the Craft by Andrew Hammer. Really, really good book, and it's really hammers home a lot of the stuff that you'll see in the first 3 degrees.
I'm actually looking up, what's up here, but it's, they keep getting,
Well, what are you looking up there, George?
I'm working out of here, it's not working out from here, but,
It's not maybe because Pirate George was on your computer before. You might have some spam or something.
I tell you, I had nothing but problems with this Wi-Fi thing. It's just, it's giving me, looking for the number. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So the number 40. Jesus was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it 30 days and 30 nights? I think it was 40.
I think it was 40 still. I could be wrong. I know that when the Jews were making their Exodus, that was 40 days and 40 nights.
Exactly what it says. The Israelites wandered for 40 days, 40 nights. 40 days and 40 nights were involved in the story of Jonah and Neviah, right? Nineveh, excuse me. Jesus was also tempted for 40 days and 40 nights. Sorry, I didn't read that right. And again, if you get into Samaria and everything, like there's your numbers right there, like 40 can pop it up. And again, none of this is in correlation to Freemasonry, and I challenge anybody who is a Freemason who knows the ritual to look up these numbers because they're quite interesting. I'm looking for the number 7. Oh, here we go. This is what I was thinking of. Another thing of the number 7, which is also found in Freemasonry and everything, is that the Israelites marched around Jericho for 7 successive days, and on the 7th day blew the trumpet and the walls of Jericho fell. Again, you have the 7 days of creation for the most part.
Yeah.
So there's another number that's 7. Jesus told Peter that he should forgive his brother not up to 7 times, but up to 77 times. And that was in Matthew 18, 21, and 22. So these numbers are interesting. Now, again, I've also been, I'm very big into the Sumerian tablets, and we've talked about it a little bit on Patreon. That, I was looking for I knew all the repeating numbers in the Bible, and I kind of followed it in our ritual. Well, I have to follow it in our ritual, but I kind of started into the Sumerian tablets, and the numbers that repeat in there fall right in line with the Bible and right in line with our ritual. And for those who don't know what Sumeria, the Sumerian civilization, they predate the cuneiform tablets that were found that talk about their story of creation. They are 6,000 years old. And again, we talked about it on the Patreon. Right now, Jesus is removed 2,000 years roughly from where we are today. 2,000 years from the removal of Jesus was Abraham at Mount Moriah, and 2,000 years from that is when these Sumerian tablets came up. And it talks about how the Lord Enki was telling this person to, when they came here on Earth, the Anunnaki, to do this on day 1, do this on day 2, do this on day 3, just like in the Bible. And again, you can, I think even the Greek gods at Olympus, wasn't there 7 of them? 7 chief gods? Might have to look that up. But all interesting numbers, all interesting numbers, and I challenge anybody who's a Freemason or who's interested in esoteric type things to look this up.
There are actually 12.
There were 12. Oh.
Another number that comes up quite a bit.
But I challenge everyone to look this up and see it not only for yourself. Don't just listen to me. Look it up, and part of this podcast again is me, just me and you, pretty much just up here, just spewing stuff.
Right. And it's
Freemasonry.
our interpretation, and it's
our
things that have kind of we feel we've been opened up and enlightened by due to our experience in Freemasonry. And it's like I said before, a lot of it is kind of a roadmap where you can follow it where you want to go. But you can't dispute the fact that when certain numbers keep popping up and there are certain absolutes, like with the golden ratio, that occur in nature and in man-made objects, when those things happen, it just, to me, it proves that there is a grand architect. Science, to me, proves that there's some design. It's not random. We haven't figured it out yet, but when those types of things keep recurring, it's by design. There's no way you could, chaos theory could apply to that.
You know, and I find it absolutely fascinating that,
That my hair looks this good.
No.
That's okay. And when everybody sees it, they stammer and stutter. It's okay. I'm used to it.
I find it fascinating that back in the day, when all of these stories, whether it be cuneiform or be any other religion, these numbers repeat across all ages.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's like someone's trying to tell you something.
Right. And at some point it's been passed down from civilization to civilization. There's a little bit of a telephone game going on, because sometimes it gets lost along the way, especially when you're translating ancient languages that nobody speaks anymore.
Right.
You have no reference. There's no Google to figure out, hey, what's this tablet say? So a lot of it is up to interpretation, but the themes that keep recurring are there across many cultures and religions.
Which is why I think that, and we'll reel this all back into the other episodes, and this is why I firmly believe that Freemasons and or Knights Templar had something to do with Oak Island, because they found the 90-foot stone right before the booby trap let go.
Right.
90. There's your number 9. There's your number 3. Like, it's all there. It's put. Everything is done intentionally. So I just find it quite interesting. And I really want, look into this. Again, up there, this is my interpretation, this is your interpretation, but you should really look into it for yourself and come up with your own stuff.
And that's the beauty of Freemasonry. You can take a topic like this, you do your own research, you come up with your own opinions and ideas, and you sit around a table with other like-minded people that are open to different ideas, and you talk through these things. And I use the term debate very loosely, because what people think debate actually means today and what we see on TV is very different.
Right, exactly.
It's an exchanging of ideas.
Right.
Hey, here's what I found. What do you think? Oh, I found something similar, but here's where I differ from you. Let's talk through that. And you learn from each other. That's what the men of the Renaissance did. That's what happened during the Enlightenment period.
Unfortunately, during political debates, it turns into a shit talking back and forth. Basically flinging mud back and forth over the fence, and that's not what we're talking about in debate. Debate is, let's have a conversation about this, and this is what I found. Like you were just saying, this is what I found. This is what I found. So.
And you can say, hey, here's where I disagree with you, and here, let me present my points, and you have that, and maybe you change somebody else's mind, maybe you have a piece of information they weren't aware of that causes them to reevaluate.
Right.
But at the very least, we talked about this on the Patreon with the rules of civility. Sometimes you walk away and just disagree because you see it differently, and that's okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's absolutely okay.
Absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right. That's all I got for this for right now. And I actually, I wanted to keep this, we're running all right, but I wanted to keep this kind of short and sweet because I actually want to issue a challenge to everybody who listens to this. Jump and join the community group. Jump on the jump on the regular fan page and tell us what you got.
Yeah.
I would
share those ideas. I'd love to have an ongoing dialogue on our page about
Absolutely.
some of these things.
Even if you're a Patreon, get on Discord. We talk all day long with our listeners. Get on Patreon, get on Discord, and show us your ideas.
Right.
Because I'm always open to reading new things. Again, we're gonna also be doing the Cavallion, and I don't want to get too much into that. But when you start reading it, Joe, and we start reading it on here, you're gonna hear some repeating numbers, and you're gonna like, holy.
I have a feeling I'm gonna be calling. I'm gonna start it when I get home. I have a feeling I'm gonna be calling you in the morning.
You're probably gonna be calling me in the morning because the numbers repeat through there. Even Emerald Tablets of Thoth, we're gonna get into at some point.
I'll
on
call you right at
Patreon.
9 o'clock just to mess with you.
Or 3:33.
I'm not getting up that. Okay,
In the afternoon, yeah.
Yeah.
You call me at 3:33 in the afternoon, you better be on your way to the hospital. Or need a blood transfusion,
Right,
or
right.
bail money, whatever the case
Wow.
may be.
I actually had a conversation with somebody. You would be the first person I call to bail me out.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Because I'll tell you offline.
All right, that's fine. But however, if you ever, and I do not condone any type of Freemason to get in any trouble, but if you do end up in the jail, I'm totally asking for the billy club so I can go up and down the bars going,
You grab the taser. And come on, one shot.
one shot, just one shot.
I'm paying the bail. The one shot.
Oh, actually, while we're live,
Oh.
I gotta do this. Hold on.
Why are we doing?
Nothing.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah, okay. At least it's not coming at my way. By the way, I think while you're doing that, I think we might have missed a shout out.
We did. Who did we miss?
You had me write down a name before. So you told me to remember this name, and I don't recall that you did it. And if you did, then you can edit this whole thing out.
Fire away.
Darcy Ashley.
Darcy Ashley.
Just told me to write that name down before I remember it when we were writing up the George stuff.
Say. Hold on a minute.
You can always edit this right out.
No. I was looking. Darcy Ashley. Why? Give me a minute.
Yeah. I think you were looking up reviews or something.
Potentially.
It's not a Patreon. It must not be a Patreon subscriber. We're like, hey, remember this name? And I ended up writing it down on that.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have my phone, and I'm not live right now. So, excuse me, I am live right now, so I can't exactly get into my messages. But I was looking for. I do think I know what you're talking about, but.
By the way, is this a new mic cover or a recycled one? It smells like Brother Steve a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get into that. All right, so first off, I want to show everybody this. For those who don't know what this is, this, my friends, is the shock collar. This is the shock collar we're going to be doing for shock collar trivia. So, for those who are...
I will be hosting.
You will be hosting. So, when Brother Ken, who I'm issuing a challenge to, and Brother Jack, who I'm also issuing a challenge to, and Brother Dan, also I'm issuing a challenge to, decide to stop eating candy asses, I promise you we're going to be doing Masonic shock collar trivia, and it's going to be hysterical.
What we need to do too, we need to put that in, maybe cut a slit in one of these chairs and put that in there. So when somebody just sits down, we can just throughout the show.
I want all of our listeners to understand, and those watching, that we will not be putting these around our necks. It will be in our hands. We're not trying to get anybody killed or anything like that, but
Oh, and I get to be the host. I could be like fellow Canadian Alex Trebek.
and that will be the very next thing that we're doing. So I can't remember.
Ooh, sorry, so sorry.
Yeah, I can't remember why I said Thursday. But anyway, we'll cover it the next podcast. Do have some questions though.
Oh, yes, let's answer some questions.
First one, Adam Nelson. Let me start by saying how much I enjoy the podcast. The highlight of my week is when I see new episodes have been posted. I would like to offer a possible topic for the future podcast.
Bring it on.
Living and growing up in Utah, surrounded by the LDS religion, Mormons, I have seen hints of Freemasonry in their ceremonies. I am not LDS. When you attend an LDS funeral, at the funeral, the deceased wearing a type of apron, both male and female. Also, when they offer blessings, they make a Masonic reference. I believe Joseph Smith, a Mormon prophet, was a Freemason. If this topic would not cause religious tension, oh come on now.
We don't.
Adam,
we blasted
you're good.
the Vatican.
We blasted the Vatican, so I'm not worried about religious tension. And I said, he said, I would love to hear your take on the similarities. Again, thank you for the best. I said, hey, great to have you aboard with us. I think this is a great topic. I will most certainly cover this.
Well, just to validate one of the things you said is that
Joseph Smith was a Freemason.
there, not only him, but quite possibly his brother and his father as well, while he lived in Palmyra, New York.
What about Brigham Young?
Haven't gotten that far in my search. But I do know at least two brothers, members of my lodge, both past masters, that are members of the Mormons or LDS, as however they prefer to be referred to. But there's definitely some ties there, and not only that, there's this whole story of where Joseph Smith found I believe they're golden tablets. Again, I'm not really up to speed on the Mormon religion. I have done a little research because it's fascinating. But there were some ties to where they found those tablets to where they found other possible Templar tablets that have in essence, rune stones near those same sites. So there could quite possibly be some kind of connection there. I have not found anything on Brigham Young yet. My fingers on the close of that.
All right.
But definitely there are some ties there. Actually, here you go. There's a photo of Brigham Young. The Masonic symbol of the square and compass is clearly visible on a pin he's wearing. So, take that.
No kidding. That's quite interesting.
For those that want to actually see it, it's at fairmormon.org. FAIRMORMON. Picture of him, and it's plain as day. Right on his chest there.
Oh wow, yeah, no, that's absolutely.
That's not even like, well, maybe it's kinda. No, it's there.
That's crazy. I'm trying to get to my pictures, but it doesn't seem to be popping up.
And apparently he was urged to join at the encouragement of one Mr. possibly brother Joseph Smith.
No kidding. Let's see here. Let me get into my other stuff here. I'm having a hard time because I don't have a phone. So I will cover more questions and everything next time, but I think we only got one person actually live right now.
Yeah, and if you want to get us questions, if you're not available when we're live, join the podcast page, join the community page, answer the 3 questions, put your questions for us on that page, and we'll happily read through them and answer as many as we can.
Absolutely.
And for the ones that we don't know the answers to, we'll still present them as fact.
So one of the things we're going to cover next time, cover geometry.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we should do? What do you think? I got 2 or 3 ideas, so I want to hear what you want to hear about.
I haven't actually put much thought into future episodes, so tell me what you got. I'll pick from that. While I think through here.
So I was thinking, and this is just my opinion, but maybe we will cover the cornerstone laying ceremony and or rededication.
Oh, okay.
I'd also like to cover Masonic funerals as well, and actually get into detail about the Masonic funerals, public things, so we can't get in trouble for it.
Right, right.
But I'd like to cover that.
Yeah, I think they're both good ones with the laying of the cornerstone. We can get into the ceremony and the corn, wine, and oil that come up in quite a few of our recent rituals. But again, the cornerstone laying ceremony is a public event, so anything associated with that is public information, or at least on the surface. There may be some hidden meetings in there that we might not get into.
Yeah,
but
that'll be fine.
no, I think those are both great topics, and I think, maybe one we could do on a future episode is cover the importance of Masonic education. I know we touched on it probably a little bit in a prior episode about what attracts certain brothers to lodge, and they fall into different categories, but just the importance of giving them something similar to what we're doing here by putting information out there, how that can advance somebody's journey into Freemasonry. I'll put some more thought into it. Come better prepared.
Awesome. All right, let's wrap this one up. What do you think?
Yep.
All right. The Freemasons Podcast. I'm your host, Right Worshipful Brother George Mudry, signing off.
Worshipful Brother Joe, signing off.
Brother Joe, do we want to take the gag off him and let him say goodbye?
That's dangerous, because the last thing that's ever coming out of his mouth, I think we're better off leaving him gagged for live and regular podcasts.
All right. So I think that's it. All right.
I don't even want to know this.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.